Hey everyone, it is Temi Siyanbade here, your favorite Houston-based attorney and the host of Ask Temi Live, where we discuss the best ways to establish your business, protect your name, and keep your profits. So as we are getting ready for the 2024 year, I wanted to share with you 4 books that can shift your mind and your business. Listen, these books that I'm going to share with you, and a bonus one, but these particular resources that I'm going to share with you have been so instrumental for me and so valuable for me. And I just want you to have something that can spark new thoughts, give you new perspective as you get ready for the year. So number one, which one should I start with? Should I start with my favorite one? I'm just going to go down the list. So I don't even know if I can rank these. But the first book that I'm going to talk to you about is John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. If you know me well, you'll know that I talk about leadership all the time. And this book is the reason why. Hands down. I read this book for the first time when I read this book for the first time about 20 years ago. Right? I was still in college. And I just had a thought. I was like, wait, you were in college about 20 years ago. And I was like, oh God, I'm so old. But I digress. Okay. Anyways, I read this book first when I was in college. I said about 20 years ago. So I didn't say it was a whole 20 years ago. For those of you who are trying to calculate, I didn't give you enough data to calculate how old I am. But anyways, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. It is an amazing book. Once you read that book, you know when you can't unsee something? The way that John C. Maxwell broke down leadership and laws that impact it. Once you see it and you start seeing it in the world around you, you can never unsee it. So I view practically everything through the laws of leadership. And the beautiful thing he does, one of the things he starts off with is establishing what he means by defining leadership. And he talks about leadership has influence. And so with that shift alone, if you move away from thinking that leadership is just titles, but you start thinking about leadership as influence, you begin to see influence and leadership everywhere. Right? And you start thinking about yourself in terms of your own self-leadership. You think about the organizations that you're a part of. You think about the businesses that you're developing or the businesses that you're a party to. And you start thinking about how leadership impacts them all. I'm just saying, if you are trying to level up your life or just change things about the way you interact with people, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership should be on your list. I honestly don't know who should not read it. It is that impactful. If you're in a family, if you're leading a family, you need to read this book. I can't say it enough. It's just hands down one of the best books that I've ever read in my life. The next book that I'm going to recommend that has also been really groundbreaking, but is more recent, is James Clear, Atomic Habits. Now, the first time I came across James Clear, I think I was getting ready for the new year, and I was trying to establish some new routines, trying to figure out, okay, how do I set my New Year's resolutions? And I came across one of his blog articles where he's like, forget resolutions or forget goals. Focus on this instead. And I'll put a link to these resources in the comments or in the description. But in that, he starts talking about, and here's the quote that I've taken from this book that is just amazing. When he said, winners and losers have the same goals. The difference is their habits. Yeah, we're just gonna pause for that right there. All right, and he unpacks this more, but essentially the book's premise is that atomic habits, small, meaningful actions repeated over a long amount of time, right, make the biggest difference. So they're like atomic or, atoms, they're small in size. But then if you think about the atomic bomb, the implications and the the outcome based off of these things are enormous. And so he breaks down developing habits and the mindset behind habits and tips and strategies for them. And it's just a beautiful book. He references the book called The Power of Habit often too. So that's a good, if you're thinking about ways to kind of shift things for yourself in the year, those two books might be two good books to kind of couple together, The Power of Habits and Atomic Habits. But I think Atomic Habits just does a really good job at providing like a strong foundation and argument for why you should focus on habits over goals and how that can change your life. So those are two books. The last two books are not as broad in application. They are a little bit more specific to business owners. And so the next one is Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. And that one, a member of my team, my lead paralegal, Casita Simpson, she's the one who recommended that to me. And I loved that book. I love that series. But I think Russell Brunson has done an amazing job at outlining the secret to building movements. That's one of the things he talks about. And really creating clear paths for your client, consumer, whoever. And I think that's critical. When I'm coaching other business owners, when I'm coaching other attorneys, when I'm coaching people who are trying to move people, who are trying to influence people from one place to another, one of the questions that I consistently ask is, have you thought about the next step for them? Right? So if you speak to them today, what are they supposed to do with that information at the end? One of my big sisters / friends, we always talk about, making sure that we leave people with a takeaway. And I don't want that takeaway when someone encounters me, speaks to me, comes across my resources to just be like, oh, I have this information. But I want to be as intentional as possible at telling them what they can do with that information going forward. And I think in Expert Secrets, you get a really good roadmap as to how to lay those things out and what to think about when it comes to deciding what is the next step. So that's Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. And the fourth book for us to talk about is E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And E-Myth is another really awesome book. And I think that this is particularly helpful. I think it's helpful for everyone. But if you are in a type of business where there is a specific skill set, or service or something like that, I think E-Myth helps you really iron out some of the wrinkles that come with entrepreneurship. In some of the other videos and podcasts that I've done in the past before, I talk about how, getting into business is one of the most personal journeys that you'll ever encounter, right? Super personal and I wouldn't say difficult, but just vulnerable places that you wouldn't expect. But one of the challenges there is that when you're an entrepreneur in business for yourself, there are so many things that need to be done, and figuring out how you position yourself and the ways to wear the caps at the right time can become really complicated, especially when you're starting out and you have to wear all the hats. When you have more people to delegate to, it becomes a little bit easier, but I think you still run into some of these same issues. And Michael Gerber does a really great job at providing a framework, providing some simple principles to organize how you approach the various components of running a business, right? That you're not just thinking about, hey, and I'll give you a little bit more of, I guess, some insight about what he talks about. He breaks it down into 3 different roles. One role being like the visionary, another role being like the technician, and another one being the manager. And he talks about how those 3 components and what those 3 roles embody represent what healthy businesses need in order to be established and to grow. And here we talk about the best ways to establish your business, protect your name, and keep your profits. Having good systems in place is one of the best ways to do all 3 of those things. And E-Myth by Michael Gerber is a great book for establishing that. So I've given you 4 books that I really love: 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, James Clear, Atomic Habits, Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets, and Michael Gerber's E-Myth. And E-Myth, there's a whole series. So there's like E-Myth Attorney and E-Myth Financial Advisor and E-Myth this. But there's the original E-Myth and E-Myth Revisited that gives you the foundational portions, whereas the other ones, they go into your specific industries, and I think you can go with them. And I looked at the one for attorneys as well, but I found that the E-Myth original and the Revisited were sufficient to provide the framework that I needed to have the shift that was necessary in my stage of development and growth as a business owner. So those 4 books, amazing. My bonus one, because I'm a God girl, is of course the scriptures. And this is my perspective when it comes to looking for truth in the scriptures. I'm a person of faith. It's always interesting for me to see parallels with regards to what I see in books that I read and consume and podcasts that I listen to and what's already laid out there. So what you'll find is that you'll see these different things in place in scriptures. So if you want to, not a shortcut, but another place to kind of find confirmation, look through that every now and then, and look through it for yourself. Don't focus on what other people tell you about what's in that book. It's got some challenging things that are like, I don't know why this is there. And I think it's important to ask questions about it, but it's got some things that you're also going to be like, I didn't think about it this way. My perspective has been shifted. But you're only going to access those things if you look at it for yourself. So that was 4 books plus 1 to shift your mind and business for 2024. Now, that's the list of books that I have read. I have a longer list. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other books that I've read, but these are the ones that I think would be really beneficial for folks getting ready and gearing up for 2024. Now, here's my question to you. What books do I need to have on my list? Right? I have a couple that I'm already starting to read. I'll tell you what I think about them at a later time. But what are the books that have been fundamental to providing a perspective shift for you in the areas of your business, your leadership, your life, even your faith, if you want to throw it in there? So go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to get some more book recommendations on my list. Okay? All right. Until next time, have a great day. And I should also throw this out. I'm still going to always put out information about the law because I care about you all knowing that. And so if you have questions that come up about certain legal topics, feel free to let me know about those too. I'll put links to some of the playlists that we have about naming your business, protecting your business and your brand in the description box below. But subscribe to the channel to get the whole thing. And don't just subscribe to the channel, like the channel, because liking the channel is going to help more people see it. And then turn on your notifications so that you see all the videos that come out. Don't forget to do those things. All right. Thank you. That's all. Until next time, have a great rest of the day. I'll talk to you soon.